Warriors, rise. Let's go. My name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach and crypto coach in the world. This is an emergency message and you must activate. Remember, what you believe in your heart, you think in your mind will eventually become your words and become your reality. If you can see it in your mind, eventually you can hold it right here in your hands. What you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mind. What gets ingrained in your subconscious mind becomes an unconscious activity. The only reason I started this YouTube channel, my podcast, and my social media platforms was to get a message out of my truth. This message is not to get you to believe in a word I say or try to change your frame of mind. All I'm here to do is to get you to activate and to think about the opportunity you have as a human being. I'm going to take you through our medical system. I'm going to take you through our education system and our health system. And I'm going to share with you what I think is happening right now in our society. This is an emergency message. But the beautiful thing about it is if you understand and you go down the rabbit hole, you will realize that you are powerful beyond measure, that there's nothing outside of you that can control you, that you have the power inside of you to be as wealthy as you want, as powerful as you want, as happy as you want, and as abundant as you want, no matter what's going on, the V, the C, the pandemic, whatever it is, warriors. But we're going to walk through 3 different things, and I'm going to tie it all together in my belief system and what I've done to create financial freedom for myself. Multiple companies, now 8 companies, 8 sources of income. I just realized I was doing my podcast. I bought into 2 companies, 25% owner just recently. Okay. And I'm going to share with you how I did this at the end. I'm going to wrap it all together. So number 1, let's talk about our education system. So our education system in America specifically taught us to memorize. I want you to think about how your education system was set up. So you were trained to be in a job, just over broke. You were trained to wait for your paycheck on Friday, to pay your bills, to survive, to get to work on Monday, to do it again. Let's talk about this for just a moment. How are you rewarded in your education system? If you pass a test, which was based on memorization. So the person who was able to, I'm talking about regular public schools, and I'm not bashing teachers. I love teachers. I think they're underpaid. They're just teaching the curriculum that's given to them. It has nothing to do with teachers. And think about the teachers that inspired you the most, the ones that got you to think outside the box, the ones that challenged you, the ones that inspired you. Those are the ones that we remember. So kudos to all of those teachers, every teacher out there. So this is not about teachers. This is about the system that they're teaching. And all of us are part of this. I was part of that system. I was part of the just over broke system. So in the education system, you are taught to memorize. And if you're able to memorize and you're able to pass a test, you get a grade point average. And if you have the highest grade point average, you are deemed the top of the class. So the people who are creative, people like me who have dyslexia, were pushed to the side because of our creativity, and our minds didn't work the same. And we weren't valued as much in the education system because we had trouble memorizing or didn't even have interest in memorizing. We were trying to solve problems and asking questions within our mind that didn't make sense. School didn't make sense to me. It didn't seem right to me. It didn't seem, I'm like, this makes no sense. I'm going home to do work. Why can't you teach me in school? I would question everything at a very, very young age, but I was deemed a not smart kid because I couldn't memorize and I couldn't do the math problems. And so I didn't get a good grade point average. So your education system is teaching you to be in a just over broke system. You go to school, you get 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch. You get into corporate America, you get 2 15-minute breaks by law and a 30-minute lunch. At school, you fight for Friday. You see it in all the movies and, Breakfast Club. They leave on Friday or school's over. School's out for summer. You get breaks. You get PTO at your job. So think about school, 2 15-minute breaks, a lunch break. You get out on Friday for the weekend. You bitch and complain about going to school on Monday. And then you get these breaks, right? Well, then you go into corporate America. You get 2 15-minute breaks. You get a 30-minute lunch. You fight for Friday, and then you complain on Sunday about your job on Monday. And you get something called PTO, and your kids get summer break, spring break, You were born and bred into a just over broke system. Okay. Now, what happens is most people come from other countries and we work for them, and they're the CEO of the corporation because they breed their children to become entrepreneurs, to get them to be creative, to get them to be innovative. So that's your education system. Then our medical system in America is taught to treat symptoms, not problems. I'm going to share a story without using names. I met this gentleman just recently in the steam room, and he said to me, it's so interesting. I've been going to my doctor for 17 years. I've been on my high blood pressure medication for 17 years. And I started to ask myself, why is my blood pressure not getting better? He never gave me a solution to the problem. He just gave me the medication. So he started to research on his own. This is my whole point of this video. He started to research on his own, not believing a word his doctor said. And he found out that if he did sauna therapy and steam room therapy, that he could improve his blood pressure, his circulation, his skin. So he started doing the sauna. And guess what? The next visit to his doctor took him off his high blood pressure medication. And that one moment made him question the whole system. He said to me, why did my doctor only give me a solve to the symptom? He never addressed the problem. His body wasn't working properly. So he got his body to work properly, creating a fever response within his body, and he got off his high blood pressure medication. So in America, we treat the symptom, not the problem. In your education system, you're taught to memorize and get into a just over broke system. Okay. Now we're going to talk about your food system, and then I'm going to add a fourth bonus on there, which is our financial system. Okay. So in your food system, look at your food pyramid. Go take a look at your food pyramid. And I want you to think about something. Now, I may get some of these numbers wrong. This is conceptual and just numbers I'm taking off the top of my head. But in the 1950s, I think around 1950s, I think there were 0 cases of childhood type 2 diabetes. Now, go do your research. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. But go look and see how many kids have type 2 diabetes. What changed? Interesting. So we have a food pyramid that in your food pyramid, at the bottom of the food pyramid, it says that carbohydrates is your main source. I think it says 8 to 9 servings. You can go do all your own research. I may be wrong with the numbers, but it says quite a bit of servings of carbohydrates every single day. Now, do you realize, or have you even studied, that carbohydrates are a non-essential nutrient? That your body doesn't need carbohydrates to survive? Now, what are carbohydrates? Breads, pasta, M&Ms, sugar, cake, oatmeal, breakfast cereals, Kellogg's, big companies. Okay, think about that for just a moment. Unless you're an athlete or you're expending large amounts of energy, carbohydrates are going to store in a very efficient storage tank called your fat cell. Your fat cell is just glycogen in a simple thing. It's a stored energy source, right? So they're telling you to eat 8 to 9 servings. I think that's correct. There's a lot of servings of carbohydrates, and that's at the base of your food pyramid. Isn't the base a foundation of a house? Isn't that what keeps the house up? So you're sitting at your corporate job at a computer, staring at a computer, not moving, drinking Monster energy drinks every single day. And you're eating 8 to 9 servings of carbohydrates because that's been taught to be your essential nutrient. And then these big companies come in there and bring in breakfast cereals. When you used to get up in the morning, go to the farm and eat eggs and bacon, proteins, which is an essential nutrient, and fats, which is energy production. And you now added in a breakfast cereal, which is quick and convenient. And what did it do? It made you very sick, raised your blood sugar. Look at obesity in the 70s compared to now. Okay. So we have an education system that trains us to be workers. Okay. You have a food system that trains you to be sick. Okay, think about that for just a moment. You have a food system that trains you to be sick. And you have a medical system that treats the symptoms, not the problems. Now, in all of this, I'm not bashing doctors. I'm not bashing teachers. They are showing you what they've been taught to memorize to teach you how to fix a problem. If you go over to Eastern medicine, they treat the problem, not the system. When I was in Dubai, there was very little obesity. It was really interesting. People walked everywhere. People were healthy. It was an interesting dynamic. Now, this is not to bash Americans, but I'm sharing with you guys, warriors. You're in the freest country in the world, and we're the most undisciplined people. So I want you to think about this for just a moment. Why are we in the position we're in? Why do we have the highest amount of opiate abuse? I'm sure the highest amount of domestic violence, alcoholism. We're not the biggest country. We're not the biggest population. But let's go into a bonus, your financial system. Your financial system is taught you to put your money into a bank that does fractional reserves. They hold a fraction of your money in the bank. Your hard-earned money that you go to your just over broke for. When you get your energy drink and you drink your breakfast cereals, you eat your breakfast cereal, you inspect your blood sugar, you get your paycheck on Friday, you go direct deposit that into your bank, and they're supposed to keep your money safe and secure. And what they do is they lend your money out. They put it in an insurance policy. They borrow from the insurance policy, and then they lend that money out to Bobby, who comes in, and Bobby goes to another bank, and they lend your money out over and over and over and over again. They don't even hold your money in the bank. It's called fractional reserves. If we took someone's money and we gave their money away, that would be called stealing, okay? And what they teach you to do is to get your car, to get your loan, to get your credit card, to keep your credit score. Oh, there goes the score again. Wait a minute. Your education system rewards you for being the top at memorizing. You get a grade point average. That deems you valuable as a human being. And then you have your credit score. If you have a 700 or above, again, if you follow the financial system that was created for you to keep you trapped, and you memorize and you stay in your job, which keeps you trapped, and you eat your servings of carbohydrates, which is another number, right, that keeps you trapped, you are deemed a good citizen. So you have a great credit score, okay? You memorized, you had a great grade point average, and you went to school and spent $100,000 on your education, and you're barely making $40,000 a year, and you're making a CEO of a company millions and millions and millions of dollars, who is eating different than you, who is thinking different than you, who is educating themselves different than you, and has access to medical services, which is probably holistic healing, is probably on hormone therapy, and is thriving. But you're stuck in a trapped system. So let's go to today. Let's back up really quickly to 1929. In 1929, the Roaring Twenties, there was money being printed into oblivion after World War I. There was money being printed into oblivion. This is going to sound very familiar. People were thriving. There was a bunch of overvalued businesses. Money was being printed into oblivion. And all of a sudden, in 1929, everything collapsed. All of a sudden, the banking system collapsed. And the very banking system that collapsed was saved by the banking system that collapsed it. The Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, which isn't even connected to your government, is a group of very wealthy people that saved the very banks that they collapsed. And now here we are in 2021, going into 2022. We have an overvalued stock market of 238% based on the Warren Buffett indicator. What that means is that based on your gross domestic product, which all the products and services in America, if we were to sell all the products and services in America that are being produced by the companies on the New York Stock Exchange, on the stock exchange that are valued, right? We wouldn't be able to pay off our debt. So the value of the stock market, the value of the companies versus the GDP that we're producing is negative. So there's a big discrepancy in the value of how high the stock market is versus the value that the companies are producing. Now, why is that? Because we're back in the same position in 1929. Money's being printed into oblivion because of a pandemic. As you look this way, there's a whole nother narrative to going this way. And they know that they have the sheep so programmed right now. They've been programming you for a very, 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 very long time. They got you programmed. They programmed your grandparents. They programmed your parents. Now they programmed you. And now it's time to shift the financial system. And so as you look this way, as you're arguing about the V, you're arguing about the C, you're arguing about the pandemic, you're arguing about Trump or Biden, what they're doing to you is they're changing your whole financial system. They're moving you into a quantum financial system, because if you can get everybody to look this way, you create a problem, you create a reaction, you come up with the solution. So what's going to happen within the next 5 years? Your whole banking system is going to switch onto a messaging system, which is ISO 20022. Everything you do is going to be just like email or text. To send someone money, you're just going to send a text message. It's going to be simple. What is going to happen is the intermediaries are going to start to disappear and change their model. Okay. You're not going to need an intermediary anymore. The World Economic Forum says that you're going to own nothing in 2030 and be happy, but you already own nothing, warriors. They've already trapped you into that system. Most of you have an 80-month loan on your vehicle, okay? You don't ever pay off your vehicle. You trade it in because you're in a materialistic society, you've been taught that way. So you need a dopamine response. So you trade it in, you get a new vehicle. So you're basically renting your vehicle. Most of you don't pay your homes off anymore, which people used to do. They would live with their parents till they saved enough money to buy and own, have ownership of it. But we don't do that anymore. We do 30-year mortgages. We do 80-month loans. We have credit cards that we're buried in that we have to go to our just over broke system to get our 2 15-minute breaks, to go to lunch, to eat our breakfast cereals and our Monster energy drinks, to go to Friday, to get our paycheck, to pay our bills, to survive and not to thrive and start it over on Monday again. This is why this seems so confusing to you. I'm not asking you to believe a word I say, warriors. I'm asking you to use this computer. In 1929, our grandparents they didn't have this, warriors. They didn't have these resources. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Someone came running down the road and it was too late. But it's not too late for you, warriors. You have all these resources, but you're stuck in pornography. You're stuck in excessive eating. You're stuck in taking your medication to treat the symptom, not the problem. You're arguing. Domestic violence is through the roof. Opiate abuse is through the roof. And it's all by design, warriors. If you can get the sheep to go one way, you can change the system this way. Like I said, I'm not asking you to believe a word I say, warriors. I'm just asking you to use this very powerful tool that has an apple on the back of this and has a bite out of it, because what did Eve do? Think about that for just a moment. The back of your computer, the apple has a bite out of it. What did Eve do? She bit from the forbidden fruit. And what we're doing is we're using this computer to look at pornography, to look at negative things, to look at fight videos, when we could be researching very deep the education system and how this was all built. Because who created history, warriors? The people who remembered and the people who wrote about it and the people that we deem as leaders. So this is a massive shift in human consciousness, in our financial system, our education system, and our health system. So warriors, like I said, this is an emergency message for you to activate for your family, because there's two types of people. There's going to be a warrior and there's going to be a warrior that survived this. That's it. There's going to be no middle ground. Jerome Powell said it to you from the feds. He said to you, the middle class is not going to survive this. We're coming back to a new economy leveraged towards technology. They are telling you this, warriors. But you're worried about what videos? You're worried about whether Eminem, is against Trump or not. That's what we're arguing about, warriors. We're watching TikTok videos nonstop. We're obsessed with women in bikinis. That's what we're doing right now, warriors. We're obsessed with the Kardashians. And there's nothing wrong with any of these people. They're doing the best they can with the resources they have and the system that's been created. And so, warriors, that's what I've done, is I've created a warrior academy of warriors all over the world. 3,500 people have gone through my academy the last 4 years, and many people have changed their lives. And all we've done is get them to open up their mind to the possibilities for them as a human being. That's it. I don't ask people to believe a word I say. I don't ask anybody to believe a word I say. But what I ask you to ask yourself is, why are you always broke? Why are you always ending up sick? Why are you always ending up gaining weight? Why are you always ending up in the same situation? Because you've been trained that way as a very young child. Predictive programming. It's in the movies, it's in the media, it's in the social media, it's everywhere, warriors. And the only way to change it is to change what you ingest, what you hear, what you see, what you ingest, what you hear, what you see, and most of all, who you surround yourself with. For me, the last 2 years, there's been no pandemic for me. It's been the best 2 years of my life. I am now owner of 8 companies, 8 sources of revenue, right? One of them has a couple conglomerates under it. I just bought in 25% in 2 companies. So now I have 8 sources of income. 5 are producing income. 3 are building right now. I'm also going to leverage buyouts very soon, warriors. Very soon. I start my deep training tomorrow. Because I didn't look this way. I looked this way and I learned the system and what the billionaires are doing. And I'll tell you what, warriors, the markets are all manipulated. And if you know the game, you can do very well in the markets, warriors. As everybody's selling, you should be buying. As everybody's buying, you should be selling. It's very simple. You just do the opposite of the masses. You don't need me. Just do the opposite of the masses. And warriors, I'm here to tell you this is an emergency time to activate. If you haven't checked out my podcast, type in Coach JV on Google. You'll find my podcast. You'll find TikTok, my Instagram page. If you want to join our Private Warrior Academy, our free Facebook group or Discord, click the description down below. I have books out there as well. But I'm not trying to sell you a product. I'm trying to sell you on the fact that you have the same power and ability that I have. And what I did was go deep down the rabbit hole and I formed my own opinion. Not left, not right, not up, not down, my opinion. And my opinion is we're all human beings having a physical experience. And I'm not better than you. I'm the same as you. We're all here on this physical plane as trustees of this land, and we're doing a fucking horrible job. A horrible job as human beings. And so I want to do a good job of taking care of this land that's not even mine. I was given the opportunity to come down here and be the best version of myself. And that's all you're supposed to do, warriors. Think about that. What is President Biden or Trump that they're God? No, they're not God. Jesus says, be like the children. Use your creativity. And think about that. Jesus says, be like the children. What gets ripped out of you? The creativity. If you want to kill a human being, stop them from creating. If you want to inspire a human being, let them create. Give them a crayon. Let them have a blank canvas, warriors. So this is your opportunity to activate. You are powerful beyond measure. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are abundant. You are worth it. You are worthy. Your relationship is just fine. It's just out of alignment, warriors. You fell in love with the person in the first place for a reason and a season. What you're going through is temporary. You get to choose to change it, warriors. This is your time. This is an emergency message to activate, to get your shit together. Warriors, rise. Let's go. Activate.